Well, the passenger who flew on the same Air India aircraft just 2 hours before it crashed near Ahmedabad airport has claimed that the plane was experiencing technical issues during its earlier journey from Delhi. One theory also rules out that remote sabotage due to non-functioning air conditioners and cabin lights can also lead to failure of a high-tech aircraft like Boeing 787. Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, former Indian Air Force officer, is also with us on the program. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, what does your theory tell you here? What really transpired?
See, let me tell you, I don't want to, these all, conspiracy theories are a sham. Let's not get into it.
No, I didn't say conspiracy theory. I said theory.
No, that's what I'm saying. There is no conspiracy theory here. It looks, there are very less conspiracy theories, and I will explain to you one by one, right? So the first point is there is no Turkish angle here. The Air India flight maintenance of Dreamliner is maintained by an in-house agency that is called as the, what do you say, I think AESL or something like that, right? So that is the one that manages the maintenance. So there is absolutely no Turkish angle to it. So let's keep that by this side. It is called as Air India Engineering Services, AIESL. The second point is, why did the ATC not be able to communicate with the pilot? Is because it operates on what is called as a VHF frequency, which is around 118 megahertz. It is a line of sight communication. Please understand, the flight was at 642 feet. It came down in roughly around 10 to 15 seconds. So the pilot couldn't opt for other means, which is HF and SATCOM, because there was hardly any time left. His whole aim was to keep the flight afloat, and therefore there is no chance that he would have switched on to an alternate communication system, which is why the ATC was not able to communicate. That is number two. The number three angle is about this flight system and all. It is a nonsense. See, I've been an Air India flyer. I fly Air India almost 3 times in a month, right? And that I've been doing for the last 15 years consecutively. And I'm telling you that Air India's this entertainment system, the TV, it hardly works these days, because even when Tata took over, it started working, but then it has completely stopped working. Probably it is because it is not economical for them to ensure the serviceability of this, and that's why, in fact, I traveled as late as last week. It didn't work. Lights and air conditioners, sometimes it goes on and off. That doesn't have a direct impact on the airworthiness of the aircraft per se. Please understand that. The fourth point is what happened. It came absolutely well from Delhi, and then what happened in those 30 seconds. This is where it is. See, actually, the research that I have been doing for the last couple of days, because there are a lot of questions that have been asked over the TV channels by various anchors. It has now come. There are two broad reasons, and now the other reason seems to be more of a candidate for explaining this accident is the bird hate theory. Reason is, Ahmedabad is one of the notorious airfields which has got a significant problem with the kind of migratory birds, and that too small birds. It's not the big birds. And small birds in flocks, because I've been given to understand there is a bird sanctuary 30 kilometers away from the airport. And the second thing is, because of the large number of the meat establishment, the butcheries and all, there is a lot of wastages that are thrown all around, and because of this, the bird activity increases. In fact, in Bangalore, where I stayed during the Aero India, the entire meat shops were closed for almost 2 weeks when Aero India was happening. So this adds up. The most important thing is, see, if you actually look at the series of events, if I have to explain, the aircraft was, it cleared all the pre-flight checks. That's when the pilot decided, yes, it's good to go for a takeoff. Now, it had reached 160 knots. And one more thing is, the plane was at its peak MTO, which means the maximum takeoff weight. The plane had around 1.25 lakh liters of fuel in it, 242 passengers, their cargo, it all added up, and then it was roughly more than 90% of the MTO allowable, but probably within limits. Now, what happens here is when the flight had taken off, it till around the 20th second, the trajectory probably was right. 21st second was when the mayday was given, which means the pilot has observed something that has happened. Now, if anything catastrophic to happen within 10 seconds, the systems, Dreamliner is a far more safe aircraft. This is the first accident that has happened, which means it has got enough redundancy. It has got a lot of resiliency built in its system. There are multiple safeguards that are there to, for an aircraft to fall in 10 seconds, there has to be something serious that has to happen. So either it is an explosion that is within, or there is a hit that has happened. Now, considering that there are a lot of birds that are seen, and in fact, yesterday I was on air when one of the chief pilots who have flown multiple times out of Ahmedabad explained to me that, he has on many occasions encountered these birds. And in fact, when I pulled out, there are enough records. In fact, there is a 2019 article of Times of India which says that Ahmedabad has been warned by DGCA multiple times, and Ahmedabad airport has initiated multiple countermeasures to ensure that these birds are, scared away. But all said and done, having seen the airfield from close quarters, it is very, easy said than done, because birds you just simply can't avoid. It just, even if it is there, and you hope like hell, nothing happens. And probably Ahmedabad had something like almost one bird hit per week, at some point of time. So, having seen this, probably this could be a plausible theory to explain why both the engines failed at the same time. Because if it was a fuel line starving, probably one engine is understored. Fuel contamination, both engines at the same time at such short notice, because it has just come from Delhi. So it is not possible that the contamination happened all of a sudden in Ahmedabad, considering that there would have been significant fuel left from the Delhi trip. So, the bird hit appears to be a much more plausible theory, wherein both the engines, what has happened to me is at the 21st second when this mayday call was given, both the engines lost thrust, because of which the flight was not getting sufficient lift, because of which the pilot made it nose up, the tail got down, and it went into a stall kind of a situation. This is why the tail went and struck the building first, and the tail got dislodged from the aircraft and got shoved into that building. And then subsequently, the front fuselage went and banged, and then that's where they...
Okay, hold on to that thought. In fact, one possible cause that comes to our mind, though this is just a very preliminary assumption, is fuel contamination, which Wing Commander Sudhakaran just mentioned, which could fall under sabotage. If the fuel added was contaminated with water or other substances, the quantity might appear normal, but the contamination could prevent proper combustion. Experts have cited fuel contamination as one of the reasons behind the engine failure. Well, heavy maintenance work of some of the airline's wide-body B777s and B787s are done by Turkey-based Turkish Technique. And after an Air India flight crashed on the afternoon of 12th of June, there were claims that a Turkish company was responsible for maintaining the aircraft that went down in Ahmedabad. Wing Commander, well, fuel contamination and of course the Turkish angle is for us to imagine and probe as well.
Contamination again, it is not that easy to mix a fuel with water and things like that, because the browsers are not filled for specific aircrafts, and there is a certain process that is involved. These are highly security cleared environment, right? You will it is not that I put 1 liter of water into this 1,25,000 and then that. See, these air engines, these are next generation air engines. They are very, very resilient. So, contamination has to reach a certain point, and there are measures and guards that are put in place, and then there are filters. Even the fuels have still filters which actually filter before it actually goes into the combustion chamber. So to tell that this has happened, in fact, the fuel contamination, if it were to be so prominent, it could have happened at some, it wouldn't happen at the 31st second. Either it would have happened immediately when the ground runs are given, because mind you, the engines are on for more than 15 minutes. Right, all the checks are done 15, 20, 30 minutes. So if the contamination would have been as a theory, then the engines would have shown it up in the ground test itself, because it would have added up there. Now, there is no way that it exactly has happened at the 31st second or the 36th second wherein, it has led to this kind of a stall. And please understand, it is also taxied, by the time it is aligned, and then it has traversed almost 11,500 feet. Because of the maximum takeoff weight, the pilot has pushed the aircraft almost to the edge of the runway and used the complete runway length to be able to do that takeoff. So, that is not very, very, though the FDR will tell what has actually happened, but the fuel contamination again doesn't look like a primary candidate. And as I already told you, there is no Turkish angle. This aircraft is not maintained. It is maintained by the in-house maintenance agencies. So we can keep spinning conspiracy theories. See, we must be responsible as people, to the public, because if we spread misinformation, it will create a lot of unrest, and we have to be greatly responsible to say what we are saying. See, while I am speculating still that the bird head will be the most plausible theory, it is based on a lot of facts. And why I'm sticking my neck out, ideally, as an air warrior, I'm not supposed to do this. I am supposed to wait for the FDR report. It will take 30 days. But just to put these conspiracy theories in place, I am trying to, create, and in fact, yesterday I was suspecting the lithium-ion battery theory to a large extent. I did a lot of research around that. But then it doesn't make the engine fail within 15 seconds. It takes a more, the time period has to be slightly more. And also the fact, I also, tried to see, because the temperatures in Delhi was around 46 degrees. Yesterday was unusually a very hot day. So what happens is, when the heat of the ambient temperature, ambient atmosphere, it leads to what is called as a thermal runaway in a lithium-ion battery. And at the takeoff stage, when the battery has to discharge maximum power, it is under a lot of stress. That could, heat up the battery to more than 600 degrees Celsius. That was a very, very plausible reason for me to, look at.
All right, just hold on to that. We'll talk about this. Well, Boeing